Hi, welcome back to Protect Your Peace. I'm your gracious host, LT. This is episode 5. I'm really excited to be here with you and bringing another episode this week. Yay! If you've been here with me since the beginning, I really appreciate your continuous support. If this is your first time tuning in, you know what I need you to do. Click that like and subscribe button so you can catch up and stay up to date when I release my weekly episodes. Excited! I'm excited. This week I'm discussing a topic entitled Your Diet is Gay. Now, as we approach Halloween, hence this black lipstick, this topic is not meant to frighten you, but hell, it just might. When I think back to the madness before the pandemic and the licking of the ice cream and the Popeye frenzy in the stores, I think all you little nasty twerps that participated are the reason for this 2020 being just straight madness. And at the base of it all is what? Our diet. We are so out of control, so therefore we are controlled and manipulated by our choices and things we choose to incorporate in our diet. And part of doing that, we support these mad capitalists that thrive off of the fact that we can't control what we eat and when we consume it. So, in order for us to break down why we're doing that and how we're doing that and why this cycle is continuing, I'm going to break that down enzyme by enzyme for you. Stay tuned.
Protect your peace, repeat after me, singing no, 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 saying protect your peace, PYP, 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 ooh.
My mission in this episode is to bring you focus to food, how we eat, why we eat, and what are the causes and effect are. I'm sure you've been privy to tons of health information on this journey, but peaceful practice of monitoring what you eat can actually add years onto your life. In addition to bringing awareness to how we eat, I want to reiterate the importance of unlearning and relearning. I mean, I used to eat chicken gizzards when I was a kid. Add some duck sauce and it was on and popping. We weren't the chitlin eating kind of family, but I'm just saying, I know traditions have a hard way of dying. I know there's no cooking like your mom's cooking, and maybe granny's the best cook in the family. But, and I know it tastes good, and I know that's what love tastes like when you nourish it through your mouth. But you know what the fact of the matter is? Even if you were cornbread fed, and I know a lot of us are, the long-term effects of dealing with that quick and savory, tasteful love is killing us slowly. Alright, just to be clear before I continue, you do know we're the only species, given the very few and rare instances in the wild that drink another mammal's milk. Right? We're the only species that do that, intentionally with the purpose of nourishing our bodies. Cow's milk is pus, a byproduct that we should not be consuming. The fact that 70% of the world's population has some form of lactose intolerant tells us that that ain't for you, fam. Leave that calf's milk alone. If you need calcium, milk is the last place you should be looking. Most of the cows are raped to produce milk that we consume. That means that humans are intentionally impregnating cows over and over so that we can consume milk. It's crazy when you actually think about it. If you unplug for a minute and just think about that, it doesn't make any sense why we would do that and promote that in our society when we should be off of the milk once we are of a certain age. That's why our mothers produce that in their bodies for a certain time, and then we're supposed to be off it. We should not be 27 sipping milk and cookies. You must get you some almond milk. There's this oat milk. There's all types of other milks out there. So that, because we know better now. Now that we're learning that, they're like, all right, we got to put something else on the market. So here it is. They got other options out there. Please seek them and stop drinking cow's milk. Period. I know you don't want to hear it, but I was informed and now you've been informed. When you know better, you do better. And they spend millions, budgets that can be used for so many other things just to convince us that we should be consuming milk and other products like that, dairy products that are just not meant for us to consume. They have long-term health effects because we consume that, especially at such an early age. We develop like a normalcy to having that as part of our diet. That is not right, and that's not the way we should be living. But this is that unlearning and relearning, and we are on this journey together, and I am here to inform you, and you have just been informed. You got to think about these lobbyists who go really hard to work with the FDA to promote these foods and poisons on the market. That's what the FDA and lobbyists do as far as I'm concerned. place poisons in our society and get paid to do it. It made me ask myself, with all these breakthroughs in medicine, why aren't we living longer? It should be easy for half of our population to be living well within their 90s, early hundreds, if anything. It sounds preposterous to think about, but we really should be living longer. And the fact is that we're not living as long as then. We do see these rare instances where people lived into their 90s, late 90s, and still functioning. It's just like mind-blowing, but you have to immediately connect what their diet and environment must have been like, because it played a significant fact in them reaching longevity in their life. And we should be having that. I want to be a hot granny. I don't know about you. A strong link between life and death is just poor eating habits. No matter what society continuously promotes into society, we have to be okay with saying, nah, that's not for me. Nah, that's not good for me. Nah, I know better. You know, these are things that, you know, as an adult, when you're a kid, you're just going to gimme. But as an adult, we have to use our selective minds for the betterment of our bodies and our well-being, and say, hey, I don't need that. I'm good, love. Enjoy. As we grow in population, the demand to feed us is just outstanding. There are more supermarkets than there are farms, and that's just the fact of the matter. Think about how supermarkets even just evolved into supermarkets from just markets. There were never so many items available in our market. And why? Because we are consuming everything that they put out. Our cravings are getting the best of us, and they know that we are addicted to these sugary and salty foods, so they fill the market for them and we eat it up. And those unhealthy practices are catching us up to us, and we're, more importantly, passing them on to our younger generation. And they see us, they imitate us for what we do, whether that's eating, speaking, or living. So we eat better, they will eat better. Our communities are deserted of healthy and affordable options. When neighborhoods are designed to be completely devoid of food that is meant to nourish you, it naturally causes you to normalize what has been provided to you, and you accept that. The course in college, I can't recall the course's name, but pretty much it was studying urban developments in communities and society. And one task or project that we had, rather, is that we were broken into groups of 4. We all took a borough, excluding Staten Island, and what we had to do was go to one of these communities that had a McDonald's, a check cashing place, a McDonald's or other fast food chains, a check cashing place, a liquor store, and a supermarket that was overpriced with poor options, you know, meaning that like the quality of the produce wasn't the best and it was affordable. A, I didn't have to leave my community to find this, and B, those were everywhere. You know, he gave us a list, like a list in the Bronx, and we went to a community in the Bronx, and it was so eye-shocking to think that you don't even pay attention that why these neighborhoods are designed like this. And the fact of the matter is that we're studying this in school means that some professional at a higher level wrote a whole book about it, let alone wrote a whole course in college to say that people need to learn this subject, but yet and still there's no remedy that's being done to tackle this issue. And if it is, it's at a slow pace. You know, it's easy to find a McDonald's in any hood, or like I said, another fast food chain that's not healthy. But to have to go less than 10 miles to find a farmer's market and healthy options, you know, that's something that's is kind of common. You can find these poor choices all the time, but when you want something that's good for you, woo, it's upsetting. You know, I remember that, like, not too long ago, I went back to my old neighborhood and I wanted something, you know, I started to want what I used to get. I wanted a chopped cheese, and I'm like, nah, I want something healthy. You know, I want to go on a healthy tip. I'm being mindful, you know, and it's hard because when you try to be mindful, the environment you live in sometimes always doesn't need you there. So sometimes you just retract because, you know, it's hard. It is hard. You have to make a great effort. You know, I lived in these deserted areas, and I remember the struggles, the real life struggles, and breaking my back that I would have to do to bring my groceries up those hills in the Bronx on public transportation after, you know, or during rush hour, like after work or whatever, just so that I could have healthy and affordable options. That was tiring, but I knew that's what I had to do. You know, when you have a whole family, that gets even harder. I'm shopping for myself, breaking my back, but if I had a child, that would make it even more harder. 2 children, the task is like it seems like too great to bear. So you just shop in a neighborhood and where you can use, you just shop in a neighborhood of stuff and you buy local, and sometimes that's not the best. And I get it because it takes time, money, and energy to literally go get the better and affordable options. Like I said, I made the business to do it because it was only myself. But like I said, for people who have families that they need to feed, I get how you could say to hell with it. I'm just go right down the block and go food shopping. It's logical, and they design it that way. So these food deserts are something to pay attention to and something to speak up and against about, because they are affecting and destroying our communities. And what grinds my gears most about these structural issues across America is that you have these geniuses, quote unquote, geniuses, who sit around at the round tables and discuss ways to keep people prone to illnesses like heart disease, America's #1 killer, or diabetes. It's sickening. It's sickening. As well as these fancy words that they come up, like food deserts. And it's not a fancy word, but it's a term that we're not associated. We don't know we're living in it. If I didn't go to college, I probably would have never heard that term, or had to Google it had I heard it on a show or something. You know what I'm saying? Which I hope you do, and if you don't find something, I hope you're Googling it. But it's just things that, like I said, people are sitting around discussing, but where's the solution? Is anybody coming up with a solution? They forget to put those brilliant minds to work when it comes to that matter, and it drives me crazy when I think about, we don't have to live like this, but we do. We have all this land, but we're not using it for what we should be using it for, in the ways that we should be using it. And there's not as many gardens, and people don't know how to grow food like we should. It should be common. It shouldn't be a foreign topic. It shouldn't be a foreign discussion to bring up growing food and the importance of nourishing yourself and putting your hands to work. Side note, if I may, Marxism has us thinking that we have to attach our labor to everything for a mean, and financially means, because capitalist society has taken us too far, but that stems from Marxism, and that's a total side note. But the land, the work that and the labor that we should be doing is attached to the land, and that should be like, I'm gonna work this land because my family needs to live on this and I need to survive. That part I agree with, but the fact that they have taken it and actually put a tag on us and determine our value according to our work, it drives me mad. I don't really fit society's view of that, and I don't agree with that kind of standing. So anybody who feels rebellious in that term, feel free to do as you may. Side note, back to the story. Another thing to consider is that when you're fighting illnesses and dealing with health concerns that are primary and they must be dealt with, you don't have time to live your best life. You don't have time to fight the good cause and make this world a better place. You don't have time to do a lot of the things that need to be doing, because you are focusing on your just surviving, just living. Getting your medication if you are on it, and doing what you need to do just to survive. And I don't want us just surviving. I want us living, and we are living in a way, or surviving in a way that's like just good enough. Like I said, not all of us, but a lot of us are, and we have to unlearn and relearn that behavior and put ourselves in a better place to speak up and advocate for things that we know we shouldn't be dealing with. The fact that the consumption of meat is correlated to heart disease and is maddening. According to the CDC, 48% of African American women have some set of cardiovascular disease, and 64% of the women who die from heart disease never had showcased a symptom before that. How, Sway? How crazy is that, rather? How frightening. And the misconception of what is healthy is so common and enforced and stereotyped, and reinforced into society and advertisement, that it drives you crazy, and you don't know what's what. You buying this fat-free but it's not fat-free, sis. It's not fat-free. You see what I'm saying? They getting you, and you don't even know it. And you trying